My name is Yael Kochman, and I am the founder of Retech and the CMO of Bywid. And I'm super excited to kick off the first track of Retech Disrupt 2024. I will be your host for today's event. Before we start with the amazing agenda that we have lined up for you, I'll start with a few words just to introduce you to Retech and to go over today's agenda. So it's been already a few months of really a lot of hard work from the Retech team, and we're finally at the big day and the first track of Retech Disrupt. And we couldn't be more excited to have you all with us today, and I really hope that you will enjoy the event and make the most out of it. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of background about Retech. So for those of you who don't know us, Retech is a community of tech startups, brands, retailers, investors, and industry leaders that are interested in the intersection of retail, technology, and innovation. We started already 11 years ago. Actually, it's going to be 11 years ago next month. So those of you who will join us for the second event next month, we will celebrate our birthday. So bring a cake with you. I'm telling you already from now. Since we started, we already led more than 50 events with a community of more than 500 startups and tech companies and more than 2,500 members. We are based in Israel, but we have a global reach with members from around the world. As part of our community, we do run physical events, usually either in Tel Aviv or in New York once every quarter. We also have a lot of online events like our newsletter, our blog, social media groups. If you're not already there, you can reach out to us after the event and we will add you. And of course, our flagship event, Retech Disrupt. A little bit about the Israeli retail tech ecosystem in 2024. So as I said, we have more than 500 active retail tech companies. Last time I counted, there were 502, but I still learn about new companies every week. And in terms of focus areas, the startups are all about marketing, customer experience, e-commerce enablement, logistics and supply chain, pricing, payments, data and analytics, and of course, retail digitalization. Today I'm also very excited to announce a new initiative, the top Retech Disrupt 100, which we will announce on the last event in the track, which is on July 16. So this initiative is basically meant to celebrate the achievements of our amazing startups. Every startup or tech company can apply from this link here by June 1st to be selected by our committee of retailers, investors, and industry leaders. So let's start. And what is really Retech Disrupt? So as I said, Retech Disrupt is our flagship event, usually taking place, next slide, please. Usually taking place in Tel Aviv. But this year we have transformed the event into an online format spanning across 4 different events and 4 different tracks. So today is the first track. Let's move to the next slide. Today is the first track, which is all about immersive commerce and customer experience. Then next up, we have data and AI. After that, we will discuss sustainability and supply chain. And the last track is going to be about marketing and direct to consumer. In terms of numbers, so usually our events attract more than 1,000 attendees. We have this year more than 60 speakers across all 4 tracks. And more than 80 presenting startups. So again, welcome to the first track, which is all about immersive commerce and customer experience. And we have a great lineup of speakers that are all here to share their insights from top retailers to the leading technology companies and industry leaders. Can we show the speakers, please?
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this amazing panel. I'm super excited to speak to some colleagues, some peers. Got some great questions to ask you guys. So I'm just going to start off with some introductions. Not that I need to, because that was an amazing slide. But I have with me Andrew Lodato, who is the COO of the Vitamin Shop. Welcome, Andrew, to the panel today. Super excited to see you.
Thanks,
We have
April.
Lee. Yeah, we have Lee Adams, Global Head of Smart Store Technology at Volta. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
And Sean Koffler, Head of Innovation at Superfarm. So welcome, Sean.
Thank you, but it's not me in the camera.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't look like Sean. Where's Sean? We can just get Sean up. That would be great. I'll just introduce myself.
Hello.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, Sean. Welcome. My name's April Sobral. I'm the CEO and founder of Retail U. Retail U is an online on-demand, off-the-shelf management training for store managers. So I'm super excited to be here. And I've got some amazing questions to ask you. And I'm super excited to learn from all three of you today. So I just want to, though, before we jump into the questions, if you can give us a minute, quick fire, tell us more about your day-to-day and the company that you represent today. And I'll start off with you, Andrew.
All right. Well, greetings, everyone. I really want to thank Retech and Yael and April for having me. I am the Chief Operating Officer at the Vitamin Shop. The Vitamin Shop is a 700-store omni-channel health and wellness chain, primarily in the U.S. I oversee technology, supply chain, digital, and some other areas. But for me, I've spent 30 plus years at the intersection of retail technology, and I've never been more excited about where we are today.
Amazing. And you're an author. I'm just going to give you a shout out for that. You've
Thank
got an
you.
amazing book out. All right, Lee, you're up. Can you give us a bit of an overview day to day and who you represent?
Yeah, sure. So, Lee Adams. I'm a global head of smart store technology for Volta. So, Volta is the leading travel retailer operating around 5,500 sites across 75 countries in the world, comprising of duty-free retail. So, if you travel regularly through airports, I'm sure you've been into some of our stores. We also have a great representation across food and beverage and duty paid convenience stores. So
amazing. Wow, diverse group. Okay, Sean, I'd love to learn more about what you do.
I'm Sean Koffler, Head of Innovation at Superfarm. Superfarm is Israel's leading drugstore chain. We're also active in beauty and general lifestyle goods. We have about 290 stores in Israel and a strong online presence.
Amazing. Awesome. Wow. What a lineup. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in and I'm going to start with you, Andy, with this question. What does phygital innovation mean to your organization and how has it influenced your approach to blending physical and digital realms?
Yeah, so really what's happening now is retailers are starting in different places on the journey of bringing digital technologies into retail stores. And so for us, it's not about replacing the store employee. At the Vitamin Shop, we call our store associates health enthusiasts because we hire and promote and train people that are enthusiastic about health. And we spend a lot of energy and effort making sure that they have that expertise. So for us, bringing digital into stores is about empowering the health enthusiast to better serve the customer. So again, not replacing the customer, but putting at the fingertips of the associate information about the customer, from loyalty points to their purchase history. And we have a lot of medical and supplement knowledge that the health enthusiasts can look up. So in addition to all the training, tools to augment the knowledge that brings that forward. So for us, it's really simple. It's about taking people that are already talented and just giving them tools and knowledge at their fingertips.
I love to hear that as a retail store operator, right? Everybody's always talking about this merge and convergence of it. So really great to see that you're using all the tools and I love that health enthusiast. That's awesome. That's very empowering if you're an associate coming to work. I'm a health enthusiast. I get to help
Well, every
people
one of
all
us,
day.
you, me, everyone on this call, we're all on some health journey and it's
Yeah.
personal to us. So hopefully we're all enthusiastic about our health.
Yeah. Lee, what about you? What does it mean to your retail organization?
Yeah, sure. I'd actually thought Andrew gave a great answer there. And certainly a lot of these tools live and die in the hands of our staff and their ability to work with them and use them as tools to support their day-to-day engagements. But I suppose when I thought about this, phygital innovation, certainly what we try and do is have a consistent experience wherever it's possible across different channels. So within the store, and we do the vast majority of our business in the store because you necessarily have to be in a store to buy something in an airport usually. But also, you know, we have reserve and collect websites, we have a loyalty application. So we try and make sure that the experience is consistent across that. In terms of the innovation itself, typically focused on digital engagement that encourages customers to dwell. You know, if they're in the store, spending more time in the store, understanding, you know, what does our assortment look like, and tools that really open up the assortment are really important, and then offer some kind of personalized experience, some kind of personalized set of recommendations. And that can be a physical device, that can be a QR code, or, you know, enabling the customers to engage with using the technology they walk into the store with. So yeah, I'd say that in summary is broadly what we think of when we think of digital innovation.
QR codes have made a massive comeback, in the last couple of years. Like, I see them everywhere. I was at the movie theater and I saw a QR code to buy an extra scene to the movie this week, and I was like, wow, that's innovative.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, actually, I would say. You know, particularly in the store environment, there can be so many different competing messages, and in the psychology of travel retail as well, you've got so many things consciously and subconsciously happening. Trying to communicate to customers actually in any form is quite a challenge. But yeah, certainly having, you know, we don't necessarily want to flood the stores with technology and touchscreens. There is a balance, and you know, space is in demand. But so then, yeah, having some kind of engagement so that the customers can use their own technology is important as well.
Love that. Sean, I've got a question for you. Could you share a specific example of how your company has successfully integrated physical and digital elements to enhance both the sales and the customer experience?
Yes, of course. So 1 second on the first question. 1 second.
Okay.
Because I will tie them both together. Okay.
Okay, great.
So for us, Phygital at Superfarm is it's actually an imaginary world, right? Where us as you know, innovation people can reimagine, rethink, and redesign, okay, different tools that could fit and connect these two worlds. Okay, it's like an untouched space. Everything can happen. We just need enough creativity and problem-solving skills to find and to connect these different dots. So now, if I'll jump to question 2, one of the dots, or one of the connectors, or the bridge between the physical and the digital, is our app. Okay, in the Superfarm app, we have approximately 500,000 unique users in Israel, which is a large and a nice number. And we created this app to support our customers' experience in the store. Okay, so using the app, customers can go and look at customer reviews. They could try digital virtual try-on products with the app. They could check if the product is located in the store, in each store, okay, through our app. So we're giving this visibility to the hand of the customer through the mobile. And we see great usage of this. We're continuing to adapt, continuing to push forward this application, and to give more benefits and more tools for a self-service experience for the customer in our store. Because we really believe that in retail and in consumerism, the customer must have an exciting experience, a seamless experience. It doesn't matter if she's shopping online or coming to the store, or ordering online and picking up in the store, or vice versa. It all has to seamlessly connect.
Yeah, I love that. I think we have to meet the customer where they're at, right? Like it's not
Exactly.
one or the other. I feel like it's the total journey. That's why I love the word phygital, because it's blending both. But we have to really innovate and meet the customer where they're at. Which I love that you're doing that. And congratulations, that's a huge amount of customers on your app. So you guys must be really proud of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Lee, I'm coming back to you. So in what ways do you believe the phygital strategies have reshaped traditional retail practices? And if any, what challenges have you encountered in implementing these strategies?
Sure. No, thanks for the question. Reshape. I think in our experience that digital strategies tend to more enhance rather than reshape. And I guess this comes back to the notion that the tools are often tools that our staff can use and utilize to engage with our customers. And the tools often live and die in the hands of store teams, and they're a tool to support and enhance those engagements. So obviously they don't all fall into that category. To what Sean was saying earlier on, the loyalty app is really, really important, and enabling customers to guide themselves through the store and the experience. That's another thing that it is really crucial to what we're trying to do. But typically, I think that rather than reshaping, they tend to be enhancing existing retail for us. Again, from a retailer that particularly pre-COVID that had very little in terms of digital and transacts very little digitally, and has a huge captive audience really of people coming through travel destinations, and that's evolving rapidly. But there's still a long way to go with it. But yeah, it's about trying to evolve, I think. In terms of challenges, particularly, again, sort of pertinent to all retail, but particularly to airports, allocating suitable space can be tricky if you do have anything physical, some kind of digital engagement point. It's tricky that space is always under huge demand. And the usual challenges around being able to properly demonstrate ROI and getting the best bang for your buck, as it were. So
amazing. Yeah, there has been a huge uptick in travel, right? This year, everybody I know is going everywhere all the time. It's just one of those things that now, well, I think travel was always good, but I think now I'm flying all the time and listening to people that have never left the country and now going to different places because they're just in this exploring world, which is great. Andrew, what about you with Vitamin Shop? Like, what's your view on reshaping or enhancing, and like what challenges have you faced?
Yeah, so I actually get a little technical. Right now, we're really focused on converging the technologies behind our digital experience on vitaminshop.com and our in-store point of sale. So we're evolving our website to a composable commerce model. I always think of it as a big box of Legos of all the different components, and we're doing the exact same thing. So we're replacing our point of sale with a modern composable point of sale tool. And what that's going to do is let us share components across both channels. These are one customer database, one promo database. And then for the customer's perspective, we're even getting into things like an endless aisle and a shared cart. So start online, finish in the store, start in the store. I may be in the store and I'm really interested in a protein powder and it comes in chocolate and vanilla, but we have available online, Fruity Pebbles flavor. So check out with the stuff in your cart in the store, but also in one transaction, have the stuff that you're adding to your cart seamlessly shipped to your home or shipped back to the store. So the technical convergence of these tools and the move from these monoliths to composable is allowing both our health enthusiasts and our customers to have a really seamless experience. And I have this saying, if you're not seamless on your back end, you'll never be seamless to your customer. So you got to get to the tech aligned to get the experience aligned.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a big challenge for retailers that have had technology in place or not had it converge like that. I remember running stores and thinking, the incentive for people in the stores wasn't there because it was a different operating system and just registering those sales and bonuses and all of that stuff. So that's really interesting and good to hear that you're taking a stand on that. I love that. Because it's just going to make the customer experience and journey so much better. Brilliant. Okay, how this is a really interesting question because, you know, measuring the success and ROI, you mentioned it earlier, the ROI on the investment. So how do you measure the effectiveness of your Phygital initiatives in terms of ROI and customer satisfaction? Because everybody wants to know, right, when you're investing in something, that there is going to be an ROI, and sometimes measuring that is really difficult. So I want to start with you, Andy.
Yeah, well, look, that you can survey your customers, but the number one thing that customers vote with are their feet and their wallets. And so we measure traffic in our stores. We measure conversions of the people that walk in, how many actually make a purchase. We measure the size of the basket. So all those traditional retail metrics are a big part of the ROI. The beautiful thing about store retail is you always have 700 science experiments, right? You have the ability to do control groups and to test. So you can create a, let's only do this in one district and compare it and understand what's happening. So there are a lot of ways to measure, but the most important measurement is our customers showing up in your stores every day and making a purchase.
Love that. Sean, do you have anything to add on that? Like, how do you measure the ROI on the investment in the app and the development of all of that, or any other, you know, initiatives?
So we have a few projects in our stores, and I must admit that measuring is not easy. Firstly, we're testing lots of new technologies, if it's augmented reality or different VTOs or different other products that you need to scan a QR to start the experience. And so if there is no connection to the cashier, to the cash register at the end, it's a bit difficult for us to understand who used, how much they used, where they used, and if they bought, right? So we like to connect, when possible, our experiences with a coupon. Okay, so use in the store. So let's say use this VTO, try on this product, and if you like it, here's a coupon. So this way we can close the loop. In other technologies that we're testing, there is no loop to close, okay, at least in the first stage, because we also like to be design partners. So we kind of go ahead and we learn as we go with the startup. So we start by measuring usage, okay, so like traffic in the store, like Andrew said, but usage or QR scans or clicks, similar to online, right? So we use those metrics in the store, and then as the project matures, we can connect it and close the loop easily or better.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, I'm always, you know, I ran stores for a very long time, so I'm always interested on how you keep the physical stores relevant in the phygital landscape. And I know that, Andy, you guys went through some changes, right, when stores were closed, but how do you keep your stores relevant in this digital phygital
April, I
landscape?
think we have to move away from kind of competing web versus online and think of them as working synergistically. And you know, we always say at the Vitamin Shop, we want our customers to shop how, where, and when they prefer. So creating all the offerings, the things that all the gentlemen have talked about merging them together, making the experience, and having a reason to go to the store. So at the Vitamin Shop, the reason is the expertise. I personally shop at a local bike store because I can talk about my bike and things like that. So having a reason to take, you know, because yeah, you got to go to the store and go in and take time. And so making sure that there's a reason and a relevant way to be there. And a lot of it's about experience and knowledge in our business.
Yeah, there's so much product knowledge in your business. I'm sure people are coming in asking all day for the benefits of the product, right? And what they're looking to achieve. Lee, can you discuss any emerging technologies or trends that you see playing a significant role in the future of phygital retail?
Yeah, as we look at it now, looking at, you know, what our ambitions are for next year and indeed into the next 2 or 3 years, I think getting more personal in terms of recommendations and, you know, that personalized journey for the customer is really important, and using, you know, tools to support that. I don't want to be the first person to say AI, but inevitably it's going to come up at some point. And, you know, we have these vast, you know, lakes of data, and we also collect a lot of data based on what's happening in the store as well. And we can, you know, look at drawing in data from greater sources, greater numbers of sources to make those smarter recommendations to people. So when we're thinking about travel, we have the customer's travel destination, but also, I don't know, we could pull in like the weather from where they're going, and we can obviously pull in loyalty data and give a kind of more enriched view of what that customer, who that customer is, and what their aspirations are going to be, and make those smarter recommendations. So certainly that would be a key thing, and also just continuously trying to work on crafting more frictionless experience, enabling the customers to drive their own journeys, and making those as easy, as quick as possible by facilitating, say, payments through loyalty, or whatever it will be, to make that as straightforward as possible. So those are probably the two areas.
Amazing. Well, we are coming up on time, gentlemen. We have about, just under a minute left, so I want to respect the time. But if there's anything that you would say, very short, rapid fire, I think that's going to be the next frontier in elevating sales and customer experience within the retail industry, what would it be?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a surprising answer, but one thing I love is the mundane and the boring. And so one of the most important things that we haven't talked about is to enable all this high tech and this phygital is we need a robust, reliable, secure, affordable network. So don't forget about, doing the pouring the concrete and building the foundation and getting that network in place, so that all these tools, whether it's VR, video, personalization, they all have to ride the rails of that train to your store.
Brilliant. Sean, any final fast words from you?
Yeah, for us, we think that augmented reality will be the next thing. We're already testing and we implemented an augmented reality platform in our stores. So now our customers can scan the shelf and the whole shelf comes to life. It's a project that we're doing with We Are. It's an Israeli startup. And so customers, for example, can click a shampoo and see videos in augmented reality on the shampoo, or even use filters, because if you stand in front of the shampoo shelf, you'll see tens or hundreds of products. But if I'm only looking for without sulfate, for example, I'll click on my cell phone without sulfate, and only that product comes out, okay?
Wow.
So it's really cool, really neat. We have suppliers that are also our partners with this. So this is our direction in the future of Phygital.
Okay, brilliant. And Lee, we've got really like a couple of seconds, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share.
Sure. Very quickly, I would certainly second what Sean said about We Are. I think that's great tech. We've seen that. Very quickly, food and beverage customer in the airport, if we understand something of your preferences, how much time you've got, and exactly where you are, we can make solid recommendations of what to offer you. We can do all that through the loyalty app, where you can buy something, go and pick it up, and we can serve you as easily and quickly as you would like to be served.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. I have learned so much from all of you. Can't wait to shop in your stores. And with that, we'll wrap up this panel. And thanks to Yale for having us to have this fantastic discussion today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, April, Sean, Andrew, and Lee. What a great panel discussion. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our speakers and sponsors today. First of all, Nayax, Coinbridge, for your partnership, One's AI, and all of our presenting startups and media partners as well. A quick run through of today's agenda. So we already had the first panel discussion. If you can move to the agenda part. So we already had the first panel discussion. We're going to move on next to the keynote, and then we have the second panel discussion about customer retention and loyalty in the digital age, followed by the fireside chat. And then after that, retailers, brands, and sponsors are welcome to stay for the roundtable discussions and the curated meetings. If you were wondering how it's going to happen, so don't worry, we're going to assign you to separate rooms and everything is going to be happening automatically. If we go back for a second to the previous slide, just a little bit about our audience today. So who are you guys? We had more than 200 people sign up for the event today. About 35% are retailers and brands. We have 38% startups and tech companies, and the rest of you guys are investors, industry leaders, and other ones. Where are you guys from? So of course, we are based in Israel, so 44% of our audience is from Israel as well. But we do have 25% of attendees from the United States and Canada. We have people from the UK, from Europe, from Latin America. We even have someone all the way from Australia, and we're excited to have with us people from Turkey, from Dubai, and from Thailand and India and many different countries. So with that, we will move on to the keynote of today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Yael, for having me in this brilliant RETech gathering. And actually today, I'd like to take you all on a journey to explore one of the most important trends in the loyalty space, because when we talk about customer engagement, we're talking about loyalty. Namely, I'm talking about loyalty to payments. Now, we at Nayax, we pioneer the loyalty to payment space. And I'd like to share with you some insights that we had in that space and in that respect. Now, I'll start by saying that when we talk about loyalty and when we talk about engagement, in our view, it's all about choice. Giving choice to consumers, choice to customers, give them better solutions, and actually make them more loyal. Next slide. Let's start. So I'm going to talk about bridging the gap. There's a big gap between, taking loyalty into payments. Everybody's talking about that, but it's very much stagnant for the last, I would say, even more than a decade. And when we talk about what does this gap actually mean, so we're talking about giving consumers the choice to spend their rewards anywhere. Giving the choice increases engagement. And when I'm saying anywhere, I'm talking about any shop. And when I'm talking about rewards, then basically anything like points, vouchers, gift card balances, stars, miles, you name it. But the main idea is not only to give choice, it's actually more than that. It's to allow them to seamlessly turn their loyalty assets into a payment method. Basically, coming into any shop or any shop that the retailer allows outside the retailer brand, and actually using their points or stars as if they've used their Apple Pay or Google Wallet. Next slide. So the big question that we're always being asked is, how does bridging the gap impact consumers? And we've actually seen it with our customers that's better. We're actually seeing it with our customers that it gives consumers a better freedom to spend. But not only just to spend, but to spend anywhere and to spend where they want to spend. A lot of retailers forget that they do not know where people would like to spend their rewards in order to increase loyalty. Consumers know where they want to spend. And if you increase the choice, you increase the chance that they will actually like your brand more. More than that, it also gives them the freedom from irrelevant offers. Because if you confine them to spending in specific places or venues, then actually you may actually overload them with irrelevant offers. And if you provide actually a wider choice, then they can actually choose what is relevant for them and what's not. Another interesting, I see that you're rushing me. No, you're not. Another thing that is really important is that, and everybody's talking about that today, that when retailers allow consumers to use their loyalty asset outside the brand, they're actually extending their financial freedom. And this is really important. If you give people those free points to spend anywhere, you actually gave them more money. Just a few points. We've seen that close to 85% of US customers would pay with points if somebody will give them the choice to do that. And more than 80% would love to get product recommendations based on their spending, which means that once you know what they do, you can actually recommend them in brand products. We'll go to the next slide. Now the question is why bridging the gap is essential for retailers. I'll do this one quickly, but I guess that everybody will understand. First of all, we all know, or at least anyone that's in the retail space, that the current paradigm has reached its maximum efficiency. Let's be honest, everybody's doing more of the same, different tricks, different programs, different points, different miles, different ways to redeem, but it's all on the verge of it. It's all the same. And also the loyalty space has become a red ocean. Brands are actually looking for some kind of a tiebreaker in order to basically deliver something more, something beyond to customers. Moreover, trying to deliver more using old technology or the current legacy technology is actually very difficult. Trying to extend your network, dealing with integrations, complex and lengthy processes, costly processes, and so on. Next one. So if I'll take it forward, I hope you can see that because on my screen it's a bit blurry, but bear with me. Yeah, excellent. So basically it's essential because if you will allow people and retailers to actually spend and redeem their rewards outside your brand, we are seeing higher visitation frequency at the brand. People are visiting more the brand than they visited before. That, by the way, drives higher basket sizes and higher overall spend. If you look at the monthly spend, it's actually higher when they come back because they get this free money or free rewards. Yeah, I'll just move to the next one. The next question is why bridging the gap is so hard. And on this one, I'll really make it fast. Everybody is basically entrenched in all technologies. Nobody is actually open to new technologies. Retailers usually focus on what they know how to do, and they are not open to understand new technologies. And because they're stuck in that, nobody is progressing. They also have legacy attitude. Everybody's doing more of the same. Nobody is looking outside of the box. And when it comes to financial services, we know that financial services evokes fear. So everybody's shying away from that. Next one. How can you actually how can your brand bridge the gap? We've learned that if you take your app, by the way, an app is really important. We can have a whole discussion about that. But if you take your app and upgrade it to an e-wallet, people will actually use it more and actually will redeem. Turn your loyalty assets into spendable money. Allow people the freedom of choice and the financial freedom to spend them outside your brand. And also expand your network. Do not tell people where to spend. Allow them to spend anywhere. Next one. And I actually leave you with a big question. How do you plan to bridge the gap? And I invite you to talk to us. We have a lot of information about that. Thank you. Yael?
Thank you, Guy. So with that, we will immediately move on to the second panel.
Thank you, Yael. Hi, can everyone hear? Great. I'm glad, Kevin, you made it in. I just want to thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yael, and I'm really, really pleased to be here with this really good. Thank you, Guy, for your keynote. Really good overview of CoinBridge, which we will talk about in a moment when we get into our questions. But before we do that, I think it'd be great to just do a quick round of introductions. Let me just quickly start. So I'm Karina. I'm a senior advisor at Elixir Consulting Limited, which is a strategy and innovation consulting firm. And I'm most recently at the group strategy director at Selfridges Group. And so I span 25 years of experience in retail, consumer goods, in luxury. So I have a mix of industry as well as consulting and startups as well. And I really relish working in a space of trying to connect startups and corporates. So good to see you and be here today. Shall we start with Shiri?
Sure. Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. And it's great to be here. Thank you, Karina, and thank you, Yael. So I'm the Chief Product Officer at Ocado Group. Ocado is a global technology business, basically redefining e-commerce, fulfillment, and logistics, so the whole stack in online grocery, but also beyond that. And basically, Ocado's technology is currently powering 12, now I think 13 retail giants all around the world with whom we partner. Personally, for me, in the last 14 years or so, I've been looking very specifically at how grocery online retail could be revolutionized. And it's especially interesting now as customers become more demanding and getting their loyalty becomes harder and harder. So very excited to be talking about that.
Thanks, Shiri. Kevin, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kevin Ertel, founder and CEO of Mystera Advisory. We're all about helping people execute strategies, get stuff done, drive better leadership. I've been a retailer my whole career of 35 plus years, most recently at Nike, but I've also spent time at other global brands like Tower Records and Borders and Sur La Table, which was an American kitchenware retailer. And I've held roles everything from GM running the business to CMO to running operations and or technology.
Thank you, Kevin. And Guy, last but not least,
Yeah.
heard from you
I'm
already.
basically the chief of NIAX CoinBridge. We're a 20-year-old payment company listed on the NASDAQ. All of our customers are retailers, more than 60,000 of those, or most of them. And we ventured into the customer engagement and loyalty space about 5 years ago, created a new division called CoinBridge, which I've namely described what we do a minute ago. That's it. So we're key, and we're dealing with loyalty to payments.
Great. Thank you. So why don't we just get straight into the first question? The first question is, how does your retail organization define customer loyalty in the digital age? And what innovative strategies have you implemented to cultivate and maintain it? Maybe let's start with Shri and how you define it at Ocado.
Sure. I mean, first of all, I think it's interesting. I think the stats are quite globally that loyal shoppers are about over 3 times more valuable to the retailer versus the non-loyals, and also less likely to churn. So we definitely want to be talking about this subject. And Guy alluded to it earlier. I think there's a Capgemini study that says that 77% of loyalty programs fail within the first 2 years. And this is amazing, right? So why does that happen? How do we get that right? And if you look at the US at the moment, there's a report showing, it's a bond loyalty report, that on average, people are registered in 18 loyalty programs, but actively they participate, of course, in less than half, right? We're humans. How many things can we be loyal to? So I think that it's interesting to talk about loyalty as an emotional engagement, the willingness to be a brand advocate and say something good about the company rather than to be registered so that you can get this transaction, this price, this slot, etc. So it's it's also about the holistic customer experience. And without that, you can't really reach that emotion and that brand advocacy. So when we think about strategies, what kind of strategy? Well, first of all, it's about brilliant service or perfect orders, or, you know, if you're not giving a service, if it's a product, having that be what the customer expected first and foremost. That's the first thing to get someone to feel that, yes, they should engage again. And then some of the strategies are subscription programs, which are growing, repeat orders. If you think about the grocery space, or if you think about Amazon is very big with this, just kind of saying, don't worry about this. We'll take care of it for you. You don't need to worry. And that is already creating a loyalty, because the brand is kind of helping you do something that you wanted to do. So those subscription programs and repeat orders are a big deal. And then I think there's a lot around, I'm sure we'll talk about it, is that personalized feeling, right? So you take the data, and you can then create in return for the customer feeling that you know them as a brand and you know what they're going to want. And again, this links into this emotional engagement rather than anything else. One last interesting thing that I think is a little bit different that we're seeing, or that I've seen from the Asian market in terms of driving loyalty and engagement, is social nudges. So the message that people like you are here on this platform, that seems to be something that is driving people to come back and want to be reassociated with the experience, or people like me are here, or people like the people I want to be are here. And I think that we're going to see a little bit more of this all around the world. I think we're seeing it already.
That's really interesting. I love the idea of social nudges. It's feeling of FOMO, right? Thank you for that. And how about Kevin? Would you like to share your views on the same question?
Yeah, I think Shri hit on some of it too. In the end, it's still about getting the foundational stuff right. You know, for me, when you start to think about loyalty, you got to think about it in sort of three ways. One, satisfaction. Did the experience meet or exceed the customer's experience right out of the gate? You have no chance if you can't start there.
Yeah.
Next, you have to start thinking about retention. And so what have you done to inspire them to come back again in the future? And then you kind of reach the pinnacle if you can get referrals. If you can get your customers becoming your brand advocate, then that's where ultimately you've reached loyalty. So I think it's important to think about it in those concepts. Then, to me, I think I always try to think about it in terms of an earned loyalty versus a bought loyalty. So bought loyalty, you know, it can be discounts, those sort of, that can be a component of an earned loyalty strategy, but an earned loyalty strategy has to be much broader than that. And I think it has to start with brand. And as a brand, you have to stand for something. And sometimes standing for something means even excluding some customers from what you offer because they don't align with what you stand for. And you have to be okay with that as a brand. But when you can do that and you do stand for something and you're authentic about it, then people will be loyal to you. You can see that happen in great brands all the time. And I think too, we've seen this in the younger consumers today. They demand authenticity. And they're digitally savvy enough to know if you're being honest about it or not. So standing for something as a brand and then executing it at every level of the experience, to continuing to provide, as Shri said, great service and delivering satisfaction, meeting consumers' needs is the basis of getting loyalty. Then you can talk about programs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. Just, you know, from my experience at Selfridges, loyalty was all about brand and purpose, right? And really resonating with the customer's view of what that brand holds, the assortment. So, as you said, foundational things, and as well as an engaging experience. So it really is this mix of foundational things, as well as some of the sort of more digitally enabled pieces of technology. So personalization, helping them to get that satisfaction and return, subscription, membership tools, etc. So those are really things, and it's this really great combination of those foundations as well as technology enablers. Now let's talk a bit about one of the key drivers of loyalty that we already talked about but haven't really delved into yet, which is personalization. Guy, I'm really fascinated by CoinBridge and what you're doing there and how you're giving customers the choice to decide where to shop, which is somewhat sometimes counterintuitive, right? Is you want to bring them back into store rather than actually go somewhere else. But what you're doing is actually enabling them to give, you're enabling your customers to give their customers that choice. So this next question is for you, which is how do you, or your clients, leverage customer data and analytics to create personalized experience and strengthen loyalty without compromising privacy and security? Because obviously, I'm sure you're tracking everywhere they're spending.
No, first of all, we only track where they spend and when they spend at those moments. And we provide this data. Now, as Shiri already mentioned, this data is mainly used for personalization purposes, understanding customer behaviors outside the brand, really important, optimizing the loyalty program, because suddenly you can see what people are doing with your rewards and how they use it. And also optimizing your own business, because if someone can understand some needs that customers have and they actually execute those needs or take those needs outside your brand instead of actually buying stuff within your brand, so you can optimize. But all of that is done with data. But when you add it to privacy, I think the big question is, how does privacy being perceived today by customers? I think it's slightly different than what it was before. Because I think that the minute you allow customers to enjoy financial freedom and choice using the brand's rewards, they know that there is a trade-off. They know that in order to do that, it's basically free money or loyalty-related money. And also, as long as they relate to the brand, they'll actually be willing to provide what we call private information. In fact, put aside the fact that they've opted in the T's and C's for that, which they probably haven't read, but they will be willing to give you, and they probably know that you know where they buy and what you buy, because as a brand, you'll also show it in the payment history. So I don't think there's a big issue here with privacy on the consumer level, because they know you know as a brand what they're doing, including inside the brand, definitely. From a regulatory perspective, it's fine. A, they've opted in, and B, you don't really know what they bought exactly and stuff like that. And also, when you're analyzing, not on a personal level, on a group level optimization level or a program optimization level, you're analyzing stuff statistically. So I think that on the privacy level, we're fine there, and I don't think there's a big compromise.
Yeah, I think as you said, if people are seeing the value in it, and they're actually happy to do it, right? So I have Gen Z children.
It's like adverts in the early days of the web.
Yeah, and I've seen, I have Gen Z children who love their For You pages right on YouTube because it is relevant to them. So conversely, though, and I was at the Business of Fashion Summit where they talked about how algorithms are flattening culture, right? Which is based on a book called Filter World by a writer from the New Yorker, where essentially he says because of algorithms, recommendations are causing tastes and preferences and ideas to converge, right? Because then everyone is being recommended the same things and they're all then buying the same thing. So tastes are starting to converge. I'd love to hear from you all. So what are some examples of how you can balance, in a way, art and science, sort of giving customers what they want through personalization, but also continuing to inspire them and using creativity to give them something they didn't know they wanted? Can we maybe start with Kevin?
Sure. I mean, to me, that's the fun part about retail, right? I mean, it goes back to the understanding people's core needs. There's the famous saying about Henry Ford, when he was developing cars, and he said, if I just asked people what I wanted, they'd say faster horses, But I think that general concept is still true. If you understand, like he did, people want to get places faster, more conveniently, then he started to deliver on something that would get them that. And it always comes back to me is you're analyzing data, but hopefully also actually talking to real customers, and understanding what they're really trying to accomplish, trying to see a little bit past what they're telling you and think about what they're really trying to get to. Then that's how you start to come up with innovations that make sense, that take them to the next level.
Yeah, great.
I think, yeah, jumping in on that, I think that the whole LLM trend is really an interesting point here, because maybe it's not the case yet, but it is nearly there, where there's a new way to communicate with customers. They can actually say what they want, and you have a way of understanding that, not waiting for their clicks and not waiting for any analysis, by just genuinely understanding the free form language of what they are saying. And we can see a huge difference here when you talk to ChatGPT and you say, I'm trying to go on holiday, help me with this. It responds in a certain way. When you talk to your Google Assistant trying to call somebody in your car, it says, I cannot recognize, or something. When they all move across, this will be game changing for all of this algorithm flatness that you're talking about, because these LLMs can already interpret, translate, and feed into your search engines and all of your tools that you have, what the customer is actually saying. And that's already, I think, going to be game changing. We've already got, for example, at Ocado, I think we're trialing now this recipe app at Ocado Retail. And you can already say, well, my daughter's birthday is coming up next week. The class has 2 vegetarians and we need a recipe, and it'll come out with something that is relevant, but not necessarily something I would have searched for many times over. It could be a surprise and delight based on what I actually meant. And I think that that's going to be really interesting as we evolve, definitely on the online journey. Don't know how much on the physical store journey.
Yeah, so basically, because he's going to know everything about us, I'll be able to really personalize things, or actually give us things that, by just connecting all of the different pieces of data about ourselves or what we've been thinking and doing. So that's, yeah. So on the subject of AI, we've got a couple minutes left. I wanted to make sure that we address this topic, and really just wanted to, so it's a bit of a long question, but I'll take anyone who would like to answer it. So with looking ahead, in what ways do you see AI? I think you've already shared a little bit of your thoughts, Sherry, so maybe we'll hear from Kevin or Guy, how AI can be utilized to deepen customer engagement, drive retention, and foster loyalty. And how will customer expectations and preferences evolve, and what challenges do you foresee?
Do you want to go first, Guy?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I can jump in. I think the one area that's super ripe for change with AI in the digital experiences is around search. We've been doing search the same way now for 20-something years. Search box, type in your term, what have you. And I think that ChatGPT and LLMs like that are going to start to change people's way they search and their expectation of how they should be able to search. And we're going to start to see that change the dynamic completely in some of these boxes where people are putting in long terms, as Sherry was talking about, really explaining what they want. There's a lot of talk about agents coming, where people can come with their sort of agent that's already knows all about them to feed into it, that you can use to sort of change the search. If you look at a lot of the digital experience that's happened, we really overload people with options when they come to a digital vehicle today. And there's a lot of research, a book called Paradox of Choice written that says if you overload people with choice, they choose nothing, which maybe explains a lot of conversion rates that we have in digital vehicles. So there's really an opportunity there with AI, I think, to sort of narrow down the choice and get people what they want and have confidence that it's the right stuff.
Yeah.
Great. No, thank you for that. I think we might be on time. I mean, done with our time. Unfortunately, we'd love to continue the conversation, but unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much, Guy, Sherry, and Kevin. Really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for listening in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brandon.
Hi again. I'd like to invite our last speaker for today, Ohad Finkelstein.
Hi,
Hi, Ohad. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm happy to be here, and hi to everybody that is listening.
Thank you for joining. Maybe start by telling us a little bit about your background. How did you become an advisor to one of the biggest, basically the biggest retailer in the world?
Luck. Right, so my name is Ohad Finkelstein, and among other things, I'm also an advisor to large corporations on short, mid, and long-term strategies and technologies. And I've been advising to the CEO of Walmart and the management of Walmart since 2016. So it's quite some time. Before that, or during, I was also an advisor to the global board of Coca-Cola, to the CEO and the chairman of Coca-Cola, the global company in Atlanta, and to Sun Pharma, which is the largest pharmaceutical company in India, and so on. In order for me to advise to a company, two conditions need to materialize. One, they need to be in the Fortune 100, and in the case of Walmart, it's the Fortune 1. And two, they need to be they need to be challenged strategically. And the world is so dynamic, and the advances and the changes are so quick that it's hard for those big ships, the Queen Mary, the Queen Elizabeth II ships, to actually move and change in the same pace that the world is changing. And Coca-Cola, the world loved Coca-Cola for 150 years. And here comes a Generation Alpha, that doesn't like carbonated drinks, doesn't like sugar. What do? It's like the Roadrunner in the cartoons. You all of a sudden you're looking and there's no ground behind you, and the world doesn't give you 10 years to shift the Queen Mary 2 degrees to the north. The same with Walmart. The Walmart business model was working perfectly well until Amazon came and literally changed the rules of the game overnight, so to speak.
Yeah.
So you need to be responsive. You need to have the right DNA in the company, and you need to make the necessary changes. And changes are always hard. The biggest obstacles for any change that I know in any organization are people. While everybody understands that that's what they need to do, perhaps they understand, but not in my department, not in my tenure, I would leave it to somebody else, and so on and so forth. And it's not coming from ill intentions. It's just the way human beings are. And so sometimes we need somebody from the outside to highlight and suggest. And that's what I'm doing, among other things. My last CEO position was a while ago, but I was a CEO and chairman of a huge British telecom conglomerate. My legacy in Europe, that I've built the largest fiber optic network in Europe to date, both subsea and subterranean. To that aim, I raised about $2.5 billion in equity, not in debt. So when everybody fell into 2021, I was the only one standing. And so on and so forth. I do a lot of things in pharma, a lot of things in cyber. So this is in a nutshell.
So we're here today to talk about customer experience. If you can maybe share an example for a technology that you saw implemented with one of the companies you're working with that truly made a difference in the way the retail is experienced by customers.
So I'll twist a little bit your question, because the customer doesn't remember the good experience. It's a lot harder for the customer to remember the good experience, but they remember the bad experience. They remember the thing that we all are complaining about. Well, I stood in line for too long. They didn't have this, they didn't have that. And when I asked, nobody returned. The bad experience is always more visible, more frustrating, and that's the one that you remember. Having said that, this doesn't mean that you don't need to have a better experience for them with the customer. And the only way to do it today is basically gaining the customer trust and owning the customer and owning privacy and talking about those things. Meaning, we have today a completely new generation that is expecting, sorry, I'll take it one sentence reverse. We have today multi-generation customers. We have baby boomers that are still with us. We have Gen X, we have Gen Alpha, we have millennials. We have, walking into any store, about 6, 7 different generations. And we have to cater to each and every one of them. And we can't do that. And each and every one of those generations have different idea of what is good service, what is a bad service, what do they need, because the baby boomers need more probably now medical and health and wellness, and Generation Alpha thinks, well, who is the influencer? Do I know the influencer? And they listen to the influencer. They don't listen to their parents, for example.
No.
So we need to cater to all those generations with what is called seamless and actually good experience, and it's very hard to do. So you asked me in your later part of the question, what kind of technology?
Yeah.
I want to know as much as I can know about you in order to create a very intimate relationship between me, the entity, the retailer, and you, the customer. There are limitations, legal limitations of what we can store and what we cannot store and what we can actually use. But I want to know you the minute you step into my shop. And if I can actually understand that Yael is coming into my store, and I know if you wanted to supply me with this information, what's your preference in food? I know if you have any medical issues, so I can, I can actually offer you medication. I can offer you food that will alleviate your problems. Sir, you have a high cholesterol. We don't think apple is good for you, but watermelon is a bit different level of sugar, and so on. So knowing the customer on a personal level, in an intimate level, is the biggest challenge of retailers today in the world.
And I think for that, it's not just about one technology, it's probably about a mixture of different technologies from...
It's a mixture of different technologies. It's never on one technology. It's never. But look what happened. Just a little bit of history of retail, more or less. This industry was dead for like 40 years. Nobody really invested in this industry. Nobody really innovated in this industry. There were, big, giant food corporations buying each other somewhere in the stratosphere. Nobody understood exactly who and how, and this always was a hush kind of a business, and so on, because there was no need. And if there was any kind of innovation, it was under rape conditions. And the rape meaning, I don't want to do that. I don't have any interest because I'm selling anyway. But my competitor on the other side, across the street from me, is now offering it. So kicking and screaming, I have no other choice. I have to present it to my customers as well. And then came the game changer. And the game changer was Amazon, Walmart, world conflict, if you may. I don't want to use the word war, but world conflict that started, that both of them understood that they need innovation and they need to own the digital world and enter into the digital world. And Amazon and Walmart started buying companies. And all of a sudden you had big exits, Jet and others, Whole Food on the other side. And all of a sudden entrepreneurs worldwide smelled blood. And the blood here was exits. Well, I can actually build something for the retail and see an exit here. And we got an avalanche. All of a sudden, about 7 years ago, there was a tipping point that there was a huge avalanche of startups coming everywhere in the world, in 4 different continents, coming together in the same timing. I can tell you, I can share with you that when I invited Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, for the first time to Israel, I scrambled to find like 35 companies in Israel that are considered to be retail. And retail is a huge umbrella, right? A lot of things are under retail. But I was really struggling to find, and I found eventually 30-some companies. Fast forward to the last year visit, we identified 500 easily, and counting. So from 30 to 500 in 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's a huge revolution, not evolution, because retailers understood that they need to own the customer. In order to own the customer, they need to provide the customer with a digital mechanism to provide the information that they need in order to make this experience for them a better experience.
So we only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to tie this into the bigger picture, because we're living in, crazy times. We had COVID, then economic downturn, multiple wars. How do all of those events affect the retail industry and the retail technology landscape?
Well, during COVID, to be a CEO of a toilet paper company was paradise, because everybody was storing toilet paper and everybody was storing bottles of water, right? There was a hysterical rush into the supermarkets and the retail stores to store emergency food and things, and for some reason, paper towels and toilet papers was the ahead of everybody else on the list. But once COVID was over, to be the CEO of a toilet paper company is not that that attractive anymore. So the point is that you can actually there are peaks that are created or lows based on the global situations in the world today. And let's think about it for a second. We are in an unprecedented storm that hasn't been in the world since the 1930s. So almost 100 years, 80, 90 years. We have the war in Europe. Each and every one of the crises that we're facing today, by the way, on its own, can be a beginning of World War III and can be catastrophic. But the list together, if you stop for a second and think, we have the war in Europe that affects everything, supply chain, wheat, grain, everything. We have the war in the Middle East, which we know about. We have the US and China trade war. We have the China-Taiwan conflict that is slowly and quietly etching up every day. We have the post-COVID syndrome, where half the office buildings in the world are empty, and that needs to be corrected. We have the global economic crisis. And the worst is that we have democracy being challenged from within, which is perhaps the worst problem we have today. And so all that is affecting two things. One, it affects the customer. The customer tends today to be more selective in what they buy, unless there is a crisis. Once there is a crisis, everybody rushes to the store and buy whatever they can put their hands on. We need to think about it. Two, in terms of technology, we have today ability to monitor each and every country in the world as a retail chain, as a global retail chain. We have the ability to monitor each and every country in the world and understand what their needs are going to be, to predict into the near future and the midterm future. We have the mechanism to do it today. It's an Israeli company. I won't mention names, but it's an Israeli company. And so the global crisis itself affects everyone. And if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not going to do shopping. If I'm in a good mood, I may want to do more shopping. And we need to predict those things, because we're living in an age of uncertainty. And the market hates uncertainty, and the customer hates us. The customer is us when we go to the shop, right? Each and every one of us. We don't want to live by thinking about those crises all the time. But there is the public mood. And the public mood is swinging, and it's psychology. It's more than anything else. But I want to add one more thing before we end. There is direct correlation between financial crises or major geopolitical crises and innovation. I went back and did a search all the way to 1875. I wanted to see if there is a correlation between depressions, not recessions. Recessions come and go, and innovation. And the why 1875? Because finger in the wind, 1875 is considered the beginning of modern banking as we know it today. And 1875 had what the people at the time called the Long Depression, 15 years of flat indexes, 30 points up, 30 points down, but basically no movement whatsoever. And so you ask yourself the question, what was invented in the last quarter of the 19th century? It's basically the entire 20th century. It's the revolving door, it's the escalators, it's the camera, it's the light, it's the radio, it's the car, and it's the airplane. If you push it 3 years into 1903 with the Wright brothers. When you look at the companies that were incorporated in the last quarter of the 19th century, it's again the entire 20th century. It's Maytag, it's Johnson & Johnson, AT&T, Kodak, Coca-Cola. The list goes on and on. The same when you leap forward to the Great Depression of the 1930s, HP, United Airways. Again, there's a whole list of Fairchild. There's a whole list of IBM, of companies that were incorporated. And heck, we don't need to go too far. Both Facebook and Google are a product of the .com and the bubble burst of 2001. So there is a fantastic correlation between innovation and financial crisis or global crisis, like we mentioned, that gives us a lot of hope, because right now, as we speak, somebody is sitting and building the next Facebook, the next Google, the next TikTok when it comes to retail.
So with a crisis, there is always an opportunity. Ohad, I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you to all of our amazing speakers.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And yeah, this is the end of part 1. So thank you everyone for joining today. And for those of you staying for the second part, we will continue shortly.